It was a long time ago when the Anunnakis ruled over the world. The sun god Utu sent his descendants to rebuild the earth. Humans were created and civilization progressed. Many cities were built on the riverbanks of the Tigris and Euphrates. One of his descendants was Lugalbanda, who ruled the city of Uruk. Lugalbanda married Ninsun, the goddess of cattle. Ninsun gave birth to Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was two-thirds god and one-third human. He possessed great strength. After Lugalbanda, Gilgamesh became the king of Uruk. But he was a tyrant. He was especially cruel towards women. Whenever a marriage took place in his city, Gilgamesh would go there and kidnap the bride for one night. This tyranny became unbearable to the people of Uruk, and they cried out to the gods to do something about their misery. The gods decided to create a being with the same strength as Gilgamesh, to be his equal, someone who could match him and punish him. Enkidu was born, shaped from clay by the mother goddess Ninursag. He grew up in the forest among animals, eating grass and drinking with gazelles. He was wild, innocent, and knew nothing of civilization. A temple priestess named Shamhat was sent to civilize him. She spent 6 days and 7 nights with Enkidu. Enkidu became civilized and was ready to face Gilgamesh. Then one day he entered Uruk, searching for Gilgamesh. At that time, Gilgamesh was about to kidnap a bride from a marriage ceremony. Enkidu shouted at him, saying, "Real kings don't commit such sinful acts." Gilgamesh was shocked. No one had ever shown the courage to stop him from doing what he wished. Who is this guy? Within moments, Gilgamesh and Enkidu started to fight. But both had exactly the same strength, and there was no sign of anyone giving up. Ultimately, Gilgamesh seized the fight and wished to become friends with Enkidu. He promised to stop torturing the citizens. Enkidu gladly accepted this friendship. Now that Gilgamesh had a companion who matched his power, he wanted glory. He told Enkidu about Humbaba, the monstrous guardian of the cedar forest in the distant mountains, placed there by the god Enlil to protect the sacred trees. Humbaba's face was a mass of coiled entrails, his breath was fire, and his roar was like the flood. Gilgamesh said, "Let us go and slay this beast. Let our names be remembered forever." Enkidu was afraid. He had heard of Humbaba in the wild, but Gilgamesh convinced him, and together they journeyed to the cedar forest. When they found Humbaba, the battle was fierce, but in the end, Gilgamesh and Enkidu overpowered him. Humbaba fell to his knees and begged for his life. He pleaded, "Spare me, and I will be your servant. I will give you all the cedar wood you want." Gilgamesh hesitated, but Enkidu said, "Kill him. If you let him live, he will come for us." Gilgamesh struck the blow. Humbaba was dead. This angered Enlil, whose guardian they had slain. The gods took notice. A reckoning was coming. Back in Uruk, Inanna saw the victorious Gilgamesh and was impressed. She approached him and expressed her desire to marry the king of Uruk. But Gilgamesh refused her proposal and mocked her, saying she had sent her own husband to rot in the underworld. He said that the goddess was not eligible to be a good wife. This enraged Inanna beyond measure. She went to her father Anu in heaven and demanded he release the bull of heaven to punish Gilgamesh. Anu hesitated at first because this would mean major destruction on the earth, but ultimately he agreed. The bull of heaven descended upon Uruk. With each snort it opened sinkholes in the earth, swallowing hundreds of men. The city of Uruk was being destroyed. Gilgamesh and Enkidu started to fight the bull together. After a fierce battle, Enkidu grabbed the bull by the horns and Gilgamesh drove his sword between its neck and shoulders. The bull of heaven was slain. And then Enkidu did something no one had ever dared. He tore off the bull's hind leg and threw it at Inanna's face, shouting that he would do the same to her if he could. This was too much. Killing Enlil's guardian humbaba, killing Anu's bull of heaven, and insulting Inanna to her face. The council of gods met and decreed one of them must die. Since Gilgamesh was two-thirds divine, they could not easily destroy him. All their wrath fell upon Enkidu. Enkidu fell ill. For 12 days he suffered, then he died. This caused so much pain to Gilgamesh that he could not let go of Enkidu's corpse for a week. Enkidu was like a brother to him. There was no one else who matched his level of power. He held the body until the body showed signs of decomposing. Only then he accepted that Enkidu was truly gone. Gilgamesh decided that he would find a cure to death so that he could revive Enkidu. He came to know about Utnapishtim, that he was immortal, and he lived at the end of the human world, a place of no return. Leaving Uruk, Gilgamesh started his quest to find Utnapishtim. He crossed rivers and deserts and arrived at Mashu Mountain, the great twin-peaked mountain at the edge of the world, through whose interior the sun god Utu travels every night. It is the boundary between the known world and whatever lies beyond. The entrance of the mountain was guarded by scorpion people who prevented anyone from entering. When Gilgamesh reached Mashu, they sensed his two-thirds divine nature and asked the reason for his journey. Gilgamesh told them about his dear friend's death and that he was searching for Utnapishtim, who had been blessed with eternal life. Knowing this, the scorpion people allowed him to enter the mountain tunnels, but warned him that he had to cross 12 leagues or approx 58 kilometers of complete darkness. As Gilgamesh kept progressing inside the tunnel, the darkness became denser and denser. There was no enemies to fight, no puzzles to solve, only darkness to endure. After completing 11 leagues, he saw a point of light at the end of the tunnel. After traveling 12 leagues, Gilgamesh emerged into bright light. Emerging from the tunnel, Gilgamesh found himself in a paradisical garden unlike anything in the human world. The trees bore jewels instead of fruit, carnelian gems hanging like dates from the branches, lapis lazuli as leaves on the vines, crystal and gold covering the trees, rubies, hematite, pearls, emeralds. Everywhere he looked, jewels and precious stones growing as if they were ordinary fruits. This was the Garden of the Sun. After traveling through the garden, he reached a seashore. The waters of death lay before him. Utnapishtim lived across the sea on his island. Just as Gilgamesh was thinking about how to cross the sea, his gaze fell upon a tavern at the shore. There was a woman sitting at the tavern gate. She was Siduri, a winemaker for Utu. Siduri was initially frightened to see Gilgamesh. He looked terrible, gaunt from grief, wild from the road, barely recognizable as a king. But when he introduced himself and told the reason for his journey, Siduri welcomed him into the tavern. Siduri emphasized with Gilgamesh's situation, but she said that only gods are immortal. They have allotted death for everyone else. She added that Gilgamesh should enjoy his life with his dear ones, as it is too short to live in sorrow. But Gilgamesh refused to accept Siduri's words. and insisted on meeting Utnapishtim. So Siduri told him about Urshanabi, the boatman who lived nearby. Gilgamesh went to find Urshanabi the ferryman, but when he arrived, he found Urshanabi with a group of mysterious stone companions. These stone beings were essential to cross the waters of death, but Gilgamesh did not know this. He mistook them for enemies and destroyed all of them by crushing them. Then he stood before Urshanabi and asked him to take him to Utnapishtim. Urshanabi looked at Gilgamesh and said that he had just destroyed the stone companions who were essential for crossing the sea. But then Urshanabi told him an alternative method. Gilgamesh had to cut 120 punting poles, each 60 cubits long. These were needed because nothing living may touch the waters of death. A single drop of contact meant death. Gilgamesh used the punting poles to push the boat, but each pole, once it touched the water, became contaminated and had to be discarded. He could not use the same pole twice. Eventually, they reached the island of Utnapishtim. Utnapishtim saw the boat approaching and was puzzled. He knew no one should be able to cross the waters of death, and yet here was a boat with a strange man wearing a mourning expression. Utnapishtim asked Gilgamesh, "Why is your face downcast? Why is there grief in your heart?" Gilgamesh told him everything about Enkidu's death and his long journey and the purpose behind it. But rather than offering him immortality, Utnapishtim told him the same thing Siduri said: humans cannot be immortal. He added, "Death is not an accident or an oversight. It is a deliberate structure of the cosmos. The gods kept it secret so humans could not bargain around it." But Gilgamesh was still persistent. So Utnapishtim came up with a test. He said, "I will tell you how to become immortal, but first you must do a small task for me." What was the task? Gilgamesh was to stay awake for 6 days and 7 nights, as Utnapishtim told him a story. What story? The story of him sailing his boat during the Great Flood. The story of each moment of those 6 days and 7 nights. If Gilgamesh fell asleep even for a second, he would fail the task. Gilgamesh agrees and sits to listen to his story, and immediately falls asleep. Utnapishtim smiled and instructed his wife to bake a loaf of bread for each day Gilgamesh remained asleep. When Gilgamesh woke up, it was already past 6 days and 7 nights, but he denied having fallen asleep. Then Utnapishtim showed him 7 loaves of bread. The oldest one was completely hard like stone, while the most recent one was still hot and soft. Gilgamesh accepted defeat and decided to return to Uruk. After everything, Utnapishtim decided to give him a gift. As Gilgamesh prepared to leave empty-handed, Utnapishtim told him of a plant that grows at the bottom of the Apsu fresh water. It does not grant immortality, but it restores youth. Gilgamesh regained his enthusiasm and bid goodbye from Utnapishtim. He reached Apsu pond and dived into it and plucked this plant called heartbeat. But without consuming it right away, he decided to take a bath and get fresh. He kept the plant at the shore and took a few dips to clean off the tiredness of his long journey. But alas, destiny had something else written for him. A snake arrived at the shore, smelled the plant and consumed it. It shed its skin and gained youth and slithered away. When Gilgamesh came to consume the plant, he saw it had vanished and a snakeskin lay in its place. He realized what had happened. Gilgamesh wept, but finally accepted his fate. Humans cannot be immortal. Meanwhile, Utnapishtim banished Ushanabi from ever coming to his island. Gilgamesh came back to Uruk, taking Ushanabi with him. Gilgamesh returned to Uruk with nothing. No immortality, no plant, no cigarette. He arrived at the walls of the city he had built. And the very last lines of the epic are him telling Ushanabi to walk the walls with him. Go up and walk the walls of Uruk. Inspect the foundation terrace and examine the brickwork. Isn't it the brickwork of burnt brick? Did not the seven sages lay its foundations? The epic ends not with a victory or a revelation, but with a man pointing at the wall of bricks and saying, "This is enough, this is what remains, this is what I was for." Even today in 2026, the ancient city walls of Uruk are still visible as massive, withered mounds and ridges of earth in modern-day Iraq. Hello everyone, hope you have enjoyed this episode of this series about Mesopotamian mythology. There are 4 more episodes in this series which you can check in the playlist named The Oracle of Gilgamesh English Guide. You will know about Goddess Inanna, God Enki, King Utnapishtim, and of course the Epic of Gilgamesh. Also, we have created a beautiful deck based on the main characters of Mesopotamian mythology. The name of this deck is The Oracle of Gilgamesh. It contains 27 beautifully illustrated cards. This can be used as oracle cards, collectibles, or playing deck. If you wish to collect this deck, the contact information is shared in the description. We ship worldwide. Hello again, we have completed this 5 episode series about Mesopotamian mythology. Hope you have enjoyed it. While doing research, many questions came in my mind. Where is Masa Mountain? What are the current names of the ancient Mesopotamian cities? Did the Anunnakis really lived for thousands of years? How did Mesopotamia become today's Iraq? Similar questions may also appear in your mind. These questions made me dive deep into the history to find answers. And based on my research, I have written a small booklet that covers many secrets and answers many questions. The name of this booklet is Secrets Buried Between Two Rivers. If you wish to collect the ebook, you can contact me. The contact information is mentioned in the description. Once again, thanks for watching. See ya.